Now that we have reviewed the TB data in program statistics and fitted the model to the key indicators such as TB notification, we can proceed with objective 4, which is to produce the target populations that will be used for costing in One Health. So this step is fairly simple. Under the results section is a table called OHT target populations, and it shows all the target populations that we need for costing in One Health. This table is arranged into a few distinct areas. We have, first of all, the notifications that come from the routine or passive screening program, and they they follow the case split that we have configured in the program statistics area called TB notification. So here we had the case split, and we will return to that in a second. But this case split is the one that's used to split the target populations into these different categories that are needed for costing. So you will notice that most of the categories are split into HIV negative and HIV positive, and adult and children. That is needed because of the distinction or the difference in diagnostic methods that we have for these different case types. And outside of the notification and screening area in the passive screening program or the routine screening program, there's then an area for treatment. So these are all the treatment elements. We have first line treatment, second line treatment, and the second line is further split into non-XDR and XDR. Again, all of these splits are needed for costing reasons. So initial treatment, previously treated cases, again, there's different regimens and therefore different costs that are used. So all of these target populations have a costing reason for being in this table. And then at the end here, we have the TPT section where we deal with, first is the number of people, the size of basically of the population that can enter the TPT cascade. And then the user in the TPT section in program statistics specified what the coverage was of that pre-TPT evaluation. It's basically the coverage of the cascade, the entry point. And then a fraction of those cases who don't get TPT presumptively are tested for LTBI, and those different case types are calculated here from the inputs that the user provided. And then finally, we have the total number eligible for TPT, and again, difference between different case types, especially adults and children, as regimens might be different and cost might be different. We also have the active screening part of the TPT cascade, and it should be mentioned that those cases are first deducted from this top part of the table where we deal with the total notification. So if we go back into the notifications area, this editor deals with total notifications of the proposed TB program. So it's going to include cases found through routine screening in the routine program or passive case finding, and then also cases that are found via active case finding approaches, such as household screening, screening in high-risk groups. And therefore, since this is the total, we have to deduct the cases that we have determined through the TPT screening approach first. Otherwise, we would be double counting them for costing. So this table is quite detailed, and each of these elements can be used for a particular costing reason. You may configure this table is recorded from 2019, the last year of WHO data, into the final year of the plan that's going to be costed, in this case 2025. Maybe helpful to configure the table so that you show only the years of interest, so 2019 to 2025. And I can also mention that in this particular example, I configured the TPT program to only start in 2021 as an example. So the reason why that starts in 2021, you can find in this GPT section where I started the cascade in 2021. So this table is automatically then calculated once we have specified or reviewed the case splits of total notifications, and when we have run the model via the fit indicator section, we fitted the model especially to total notifications. Then we have a total notifications trend, which is then split into case types. This can also be edited by the user. So in configuration, we have an option here in the tab OHT target populations. If this box is checked, allow user editing of target populations, then a target population table will appear here in the program statistics section, which the user can now edit. It has the same categories. It starts off with 0, so everything has to be filled in by the user. But to help the user, there's an option here in the same configuration tab to load the one health target populations from estimates. By pressing this button, we're going to load this results table into this editable table. So now we have a table that has some basically the same calculation that the time estimates model just did. It can now be edited by the user. So I can change these numbers. I can edit them. However, it's the responsibility of the user to make sure that the configuration of the table is preserved. For example, we have here adults and children, which should add up to this value. So if the user edits any of these two values, should also edit that value. And if that value is edited, we also should edit total notifications. So while the editable function, the functionality to allow editing is very helpful, it is still quite a task to produce this full complete table. And the responsibility is on the user to make sure that these totals add up. One way to do this would be to right-click on the table, copy all, and paste that into Excel. At least that will give you the exact structure. You can then edit in Excel and then paste the values back. But once you have edited this, you can save it, and we will show in the next objective how this information can then be used in One Health for costing. So in One Health, you will have a choice between the time estimate version of the target population table or the user edited version. Both of these objects can be used, and you may experiment also to decide what works best for your application. So that concludes the production of target populations. In the next objective, we will look into how to use the target populations for costing. And then we will also return to some of the elements here in the target populations and also in the program statistics.